Here's a story I want to talk about. So, I don't know if you knew this, but like China, you know, there's a lot of Chinesium junk for
Right.
sale on Amazon, and
Oh yeah,
I don't know what
bunch
the
of it.
yeah, a bunch of it. If you look at this chart right now, these are the top 20 cities in the world that sell on Amazon. You might notice a trend. Shenzhen, which is China, 102,000 sellers.
Oh.
Guangzhou City, also China. Putain City, Dogwon City, uh, they're all in China. Then there's like
Mm.
Brooklyn has a bunch, Miami, then Xiamen City, Jingzhou City, China, Chengdu City, China, Guangzhou City, China, Jinhua City, China, then Houston, I mean like Wuhan, 6,000 sellers.
Wow.
And like so they are that's partly why the Amazon stock is a little rough right now.
That's a
But
good.
also like here's this President Trump has announced an increase on Chinese goods, obviously to 125%. He announced that yesterday afternoon. Following the Chinese government's move to raise tariffs on the US to 84%. So far, the CCP has not taken retaliatory action on the latest rounds of tariffs. Probably a good idea. These steep tariffs are poised to crush Chinese sellers and have long dominated the Amazon marketplace by flooding the United States with cheap junk.
I know
Data,
there's so much like Timu crap, like
yeah,
everywhere. It's like let's not lose our minds over a bunch of Timu crap because we don't need all that. Like this is not necessities here that we're talking about.
yeah, it's just junk.
Yeah,
By the way, most of it you could 3D print on your own these days,
that
and you don't have
too.
to be that smart to do it. Believe me, I can do it, and I'm not smart at all. So, like, data from Smart Scout shows that Amazon sellers based in China over the years, Chinese sellers have figured out how to cut out intermediaries and use Amazon as direct-to-consumer marketplace for low-cost goods such as electronics, toys, household items, and fashion accessories. Wan Xin, head of the Shenzhen Cross-Border E-Commerce Association, which represents over 3,000 Amazon sellers, told Reuters this isn't just a tax issue. The entire cost structure gets completely overwhelmed, and it will be very hard for anyone to survive in the U.S. market. I mean, cue the sad violin music. I guess like I don't really care. Here's a truth. Like, I'm not gonna roll this into a coffee brand coffee ad, but like we are getting hit by the tariffs too. We don't really buy much from China.
Right.
We buy. I was looking at buying our cardboard boxes from there because it's cheaper. But
Right.
like everything else is basically even with the tariffs is still cheaper.
Yeah.
But most of the stuff, as far as I know, the only thing I was looking at buying from China was the K cup machine, because that's really the only place that manufactures them. But now that it's 135% more expensive, suddenly now the American made ones are in their contention. There's
Right.
just not many of them. There's really only one company that I know. So I may have to actually wait on the K cup machine. But for the most part, I'm fine. I'm an American business. I lowered prices instead of increasing them. These people are all freaking out. And I fail to see how this is a problem. Most of the time you end up buying this cheap stuff from Amazon. It breaks. I'm not saying Americans don't make junk, because they
Right.
certainly do. But like so much of the stuff, like cables and HDMI cables that are all low quality, but they're just so cheap you can't
Yep.
resist.
Yeah.
It's like, shoot, like I need an HDMI cable. I could buy one that's made in America for $19.99, or I could buy a 50-footer for $9.99.
Right.
And it's just like,
Probably
ugh.
break in a year, but hey.
Yeah, right. It'll break in a year, but I'll just buy another one. Like that
And
is not a good place to be, I think.
I think that encouraging more products made in America and higher quality stuff is such a great thing because it's just like you see how I just reflect back on like the things that I was buying just over the past like 10, 15 years. I know like back in the day, yeah, was it harder to get this, that, or the other? But you got better quality.
Oh my God,
stuff.
remember monster cables?
Yes, I remember those. They were at like Best Buy when I worked at Best Buy. We had
me
monster
too.
cables.
I made so much money buying those on my employee discount and then reselling them.
Because the markups. Oh, you did that? You could have got fired. There was a guy that
they limited it.
for doing that. Fired. He did that with the TV and.
Yeah.
That's the thing though, is like the markups for employees with cables the employee discount was huge for cables.
I think they were like $50.
Yeah, they were selling cables for like $50, and they were making like a $45 profit on every.
Yeah, we would get them for $8 or $9.
Yeah,
when we bought, or if you ever bought Insignia brand, do you remember that? Like Insignia brand was their in-house TV brand. It was I remember telling people, I'm like, it's the same thing as RCA.
Yeah.
And like my employee discount, I had like, this is back when like the first HD TVs came out, and they were still like big like tubes, but they were flat on the front.
Yep.
Like, and they weighed like 1,000,000 pounds. I remember buying like a 35-inch HD TV, which was, as big as you could get back then, for like $300, when the RCA one that was the same was like $950.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. So it was like, is that good for the U.S. economy? I don't think so.
Right. And the thing is, though, is like, if we look back, it's like, yes, do we have access to a bunch more cheap crap? Yes. But there's also with that a bunch of unnecessary crap that we don't have to be buying. And it's like, I would rather have more American made, nicer products than just buying a bunch of crap, because all of this stuff is so accessible, so cheap, so easy to get. At least for myself, I find myself like, wait, I don't need this. Why? Yeah. I would rather be more selective and have nicer quality things. And we as Americans have just like this whole consumer culture has just gotten out of control at this point. And it's like, we don't, it's too much. It's way too much.
Well, and the thing is, with this stuff, I talked about this with Luke yesterday, or as the Chinese would say, Rook.
What Rook?
There's no reason that we can't make cheap HDMI cables in America too.
I know.
With automation, we could be pumping out $3 HDMI cables tomorrow. Like, It's just, I got to be honest too. Those Amazon cables that I buy are actually pretty good. Like, these cables, this brand, whatever this brand is, like the braided ones.
I do have that for my phone charging.
Yeah, yep, I buy the crap out of these.
It's good.
And Nopi and Jopi, who gives a? It's China, Not one of those cables have ever been bad for me. But there's no reason America can't make that.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason. It's just that we don't, because it was easier and quicker.
Yep.
To just outsource it to China, and also the other important fact is that just because China can't make it doesn't mean India won't make it. Or Honduras or Vietnam or any one of these other third world countries who have been chomping at the bit to get a chunk of the American economy. Like, they're going to buy it, or they're going to sell out their people and do it. I know it sounds cold,
right?
But I'm just telling you that, like, America is not going to have a problem getting this cheap products. It's not, because people, there's no shortage of third world countries willing to sell out their people. And hopefully, more ideally, we have a situation where we actually just automate and bring it in ourselves. Mm-hmm. That's what I would hope. I don't know. I mean, are you worried about the Chinese sellers?
No.
Yeah.
I'm good. I sleep at night well.
Yeah, I think I'm totally fine with it. And ultimately, if these Chinese sellers go out of business, I don't think I care.
Right.
I don't care. Somebody else is going to make cheap USB cables. It doesn't. Yep. This is what like the left keeps saying. They're like, oh my God, but who will make this, or who will pick your strawberries? Someone will.
Oh,
someone will. Like
there's people who would love to.
Yeah, or there'll be people that, that figure out automation or machinery,
right?
Or, it's going to be just fine. It's going to be just fine.